Wednesday. Oh, I'm using my daughter's phone. Hello, Katie. Hi. Can't wait to meet you on Friday. I have my daughter's phone and I have my text set larger, because my eyeballs. And I can barely read that. This will be fun. All right, I'm just going to make sure I'm on Facebook. I am. Awesome. Happy Wednesday, everybody. So Wednesday is the day that we release our new block of the week. I'm hashtagging this project Quilt As You Go, QAYG, sew along, all one word. And it's a free program that I'm releasing to help us get more familiar with our featherweights. I think that a lot of people know that you can take a featherweight and do some amazing piecing with it, but I think that it is a relatively new idea to actually do some machine quilting with it. So in this block, we're actually going to be doing using all three of our feet. We're going to be doing our 1/4 inch foot, we're going to be doing our walking foot for straight quilting, and we're going to be doing some free motion quilting. In fact, today is a special day because we are going to do a lesson on stippling with your featherweight. So let me just say hi to some friends and then we'll get this underway. So hi Mom, hi Becky, hi Missy from Redmond, Carolyn and Susie. How are my girls doing tonight? Okay, so this week is a holiday week, which means that I have been messed up all week long with what day it is. I keep thinking it's a day later than it is. I've been messed up. But today is definitely Wednesday and I am definitely ready, hi Bryce, to go and get this taken care of. So this is this week's block. I have my second camera set up, so let me just switch Facebook so you guys can see both. Okay, and then I'm going to put this back there. Okay, so here is my second block. You can see the stippling in the open areas. And I'm calling it Sedona, Arizona. It is my quilt interpretation of Bell Rock, which is a site, a viewing spot in Sedona. When we lived in Arizona for 3.5 years, every time out of town folks would come in, they would want to go visit Sedona. So we would go up there several times a year. The rocks and the scenery were phenomenal. I mean, nothing I had ever seen, and I'm accustomed to mountains and greenery, and it was like the polar opposite of that. So I always really liked Sedona. Oh, there's so many of you guys on. My thing wasn't scrolling. Nancy, Lisa from Wisconsin, Jackie. Sorry guys, I'm just gonna say hi. Other moms on. Hi Mom. And Jennifer from Alabama, Elizabeth from Alabama. Oh, I have 2 Alabamians. Is that how you say that? Hi Pam Green, how you doing? Bonnie. Hi Bonnie, I'm glad your first package arrived. Who knows where, oh wait, the first package arrived yesterday. Oh, and it's on its way back. That's great, that's awesome. What else? Amber, hi Amber, and Susie. It's only 87 degrees. She wanted me to know in Phoenix. Ooh, does that mean we're hotter than them? Hold on, because we are having a bit of a record-breaking heat wave here in Susie, we are 1 degree warmer than you in Seattle. That's pretty amazing. Oh, Bryce, gosh, I can't read Reagan's phone. I love piecing with my featherweight. I've always been afraid of damaging the motor with remote. No, so don't be afraid of doing more with these machines. The reason why I say that is that they will do more than you think they will. So the rule of thumb with the motor and caring for the motor and not letting the motor get too hot is if you need a break, she needs a break. That's the rule of thumb. Because I don't know about you, but I have trouble sitting for like hours straight, and she would have trouble running for hours straight. So when you need to take a break and stand up, she needs to take a break and let her motor cool down. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. We have George from Maryland on here. Hi, George. And Amber also. Hi, Amber from Texas. Don't be afraid to use her. Okay, so today we are going to do the Bell Rock block. And as you can see, there's lots of piecework in this 8.5 inch square. So I was really glad that Becky submitted for the Quilting with the Doctor series, which is going to be the first Monday of every month, the question about the scant 1/4 inch. The scant 1/4 inch would be a good seam depth to use on this block because there's so many different pieces and such. I will say that my block did come out the right size, but I was kind of sweating it because there's so many different pieces in this. So Artie, hi Artie, thanks for joining me. You look cool and comfortable. It's sweatshirt weather in Kansas. What? No, it is. We're in a heat wave in Seattle. So hi Lynn, and from Louisiana. Thanks for joining me. All right, so let's get to this. Now, just yesterday I was day late. Thank you for giving me some grace about that because of the holiday on Monday. I was day late getting my cutting instructions and my quilt plan by number up, and I did realize today when I started doing this that I should have told you. I gave you the quilt plan. Let me put it in front of. I gave you the quilt plan, but and I numbered all of the pieces A, B, C, D, E, F. The ones that obviously flank, there's 2 B's, there's 2 C's, there's 2 D's, and there's 2 E's, and then the matching coordinating background also you need 2 sets of. The only thing that you don't need 2 sets of are the A and the J is just 1 set. And a little tricky, these 2 outer pieces are cut a 1/4 inch smaller than the rest of the strips. So let me know if anybody has any questions on that. Here is what the pattern looked like. Did I just mess that up? So here's the pattern. Again, it's all uploaded on our website, featherweightdoctor.com. Scroll to the middle of the page. Hi, Melanie. Scroll to the middle of the page under blog and journal or journal and blog posts. Click on that. It's the top blog post. It's called Quilt As You Go So Along Week 7. So that's where you can find this information. Much like with my other patterns, I encourage you to use the paper pattern to lay your pieces down on so that you don't piece them wrong. Not that I've ever done that. Such a lie. I've totally done that. So I'm just going to lay these out on my paper. I'll show you guys what I'm doing in a second. So you can see, actually, if I do it up here, you guys can all see it. So I'm just laying I'm setting it out like a puzzle. I'm just laying my pieces out so that way I know what to sew next. Okay. Did everybody have a nice holiday weekend? We were camping. Uh-oh, ruh-roh. Oh, I know where it is. Up in Index, Washington, which is up in the North Cascades, and it is well known by white water rafters and climbers because of the amazing, what's going on here, Darlene? Did I forget to cut a piece? Such a rookie move. I think I forgot a piece. Hang on. This is why we lay it out, folks, before we start. I did. I forgot one little piece. Actually, 2 little pieces. Okay. This and then that. Okay. You guys can see how I laid everything out. I'm going to go grab the white fabric real quick and we're going to cut. I think you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay. So I am missing, need a 1.5 by 1. Let me grab my white fabric. Hang on, guys. One and a half by 1, and I forgot my F piece, which is 5 by 1.5. Okay. Okay, 1 missing piece. Oh, good. Susie got to see her grandson sons and her daughter. That is amazing. Good for you. Okay, so I need 1 1/4 by F piece is 5. Let's do this the right way, Darlene. Do you guys talk to yourself too, or is it just me? Just say it's me. Or just say you talk to yourself too, so that way I feel better. All right, this, that, and another 5-inch piece. I'm pretty excited for the end of the week this week because my sip and sew is remote this week. I had a super nice lady, her name's Carol, offer to host me on her beautiful patio on Bainbridge Island. Bainbridge Island, you don't need to take a ferry to, but there's 2 ferries that go there. They're car ferries, so you have to drive on. And so my daughter and I are pretty excited. We're going to go up and have dinner and a nice time meeting Carol and her family. Carol, Just Paul, and her daughter Katie, who I think is watching. I'm pretty excited. Hi, Sally. Thanks for joining us. All right, Lisa is on. Hi, Lisa. And Melanie had her son and their family come to visit. That's awesome. Becky, thank you for getting my back. She says she talks to herself all the time. Ask and answer questions to myself. I also talk to the dog. Like the dog can talk to me. That's so silly. Oh, Jennifer's got my back too. She said talk to myself. And I answer myself as well. Good. I'm in good company then. Very cool. All right, I'm just going to start going down the line here and sewing these pieces together. All right. I have my School Bell tonight. She's been my favorite lately. I try not to have favorites, like children favorites and dog favorites, but I have to tell you, she's so smooth. It's pretty hard not to have her as my favorite. Lisa Klein says, yes, she talks to herself all the time. Drives my husband crazy because he thinks I'm talking to him. Oops. Sorry, Hubs. And Pam says, of course I talk to myself. Well, good. My husband will, while he's sleeping, talks in his sleep. And I think he's trying to talk to me. And I'm like, babe, you are driving me crazy. Like you'll have these weird, obscure conversations and then he won't remember them. And I'm like, but you told me I could buy that Coach purse. Just kidding. I don't do that. Melanie, who used to live here in the Pacific Northwest, says she used the ferries when they lived in Paulsbo, which is over on the other side of the mountains. Or other side of the sound, I should say, not the mountains. Okay. Next week's block is called Globe, Arizona. Hi, Christine. Texas Honeybee. Or maybe that's not Christine. Oh, wait. Is Texas Honeybee Christine? Now I'm thinking it has something to do with quilt in the word on Instagram. Okay. Oh, my mom says that her School Bell is her best running machine. I tell you, I have a good friend who just picked one up around here, Jeanette, and she's actually coming to see me next week for her spa treatment. And I told Jeanette that I'll lay money because she's got a Centennial and she also has Vera. Vera is her 1948 pandemic purchase from me, and Vera sings, or will her cadence is pretty hypnotic. Betty's is more for a beginning quilter. She's a little slow. But I told her that when we get that school bell going, she's calling her Gladys, that will absolutely be her best machine. They just have the most hypnotic cadence to them. Okay. So I'm just making sure I'm lining these up properly. Did I put that right? Okay. This. Okay. I did not intentionally pick Seahawks colors. If anybody thinks I did the blue and the green on purpose because I live in Seattle. Oh, I'm sorry, Texas Honeybee. It's Melissa, not Christine. I apologize. I wish it would just tell me everybody's name. Then I don't have to memorize everything. Jennifer said, you know when you read instructions out loud to yourself, they always make better sense. Totally true. And Ali says, I'm new to featherweights. How do you know what kind? Ooh, let's talk about that. Oh, Jeanette's on too. She said, guilty as charged. Yes, 48 for Vera. I remembered. Oh yeah, so Melanie wants to know what the School Bell one is. So the School Bell, they were made in 33. That was the first year of production, 34 and 35. So not all the way through the production years of 35. And what they do, I can't turn this around, but there's instead of the bobbin winder sitting on the top decking of the machine, like most of them, it sits on the front of it, and it's chrome, and it's notched out of the actual cast aluminum mold. So that is a School Bell. They are extremely collectible, and people really, really, really like them. So Amber's question about how do you know what kind, there are several. Well, actually, Amber, there are two different models of featherweights, a 221 and a 222. 222s are very rare birds here in the U.S. because they were made in UK for the European market. So they are much harder to find here in the U.S. And as for the 221s, there was 1.2 million of them made over the production span. And they are, depending on the color, there are 3 different factory colors for the 221s. There is this black color, of course. There was a tan color in the mid-50s, and there was a white machine. It actually looks a little greenish, that was made in the mid-60s, and it has a shorter bed extension and no chrome. Other than that, you can look up your serial number on our website, featherweightdoctor.com, and it will tell you what year yours is born. There are also special badged machines, like a centennial badge, for instance. There was a special lot of machines, actually a couple of them that were made in the 50s, 51 and 50, that commemorated the 100-year anniversary of Singer. So if you wanted to know if yours had any special meaning or value, you could take a couple pictures and email them to me at info@featherweightdoctor.com, and I'm happy to give you her birth year and how many sisters she was born with and all of that fun stuff. Okay, so Amber says she has a 221 1952 model, so you already know your year. That's good. The 52s did not have... they were not specially badged. That particular year is not particularly hard to find. I actually just picked up a new to me 52 yesterday. It was another rescue mission, ladies. This guy was gonna take her to the dump. I couldn't take it. Couldn't handle the idea she was going to the dump, so I went down and saved her. She's not all that good. Some of her paint is missing and all that fun stuff. Jennifer says on Facebook, I have a 221 1950, the year of my birth. That's awesome. That's the year of Mom's birth too. My mom-in-law is a 1950 baby. Have you seen photos of the blue and red? Did someone paint them? Yes. So I painted them. Actually, technically, I assisted in the painting. My husband did the actual painting. When we started our company several years ago now, we were living in Arizona, and we were both full-time for the first year before Andy had the nerve to go get himself a new full-time job. So we were painting about 4 or 5 machines a month, and my in-laws were helping my fabulous father-in-law. who still lives in Arizona and does service for the company, was helping us paint them. And that's where my fancy painted machines came from behind me, was from our painting days. But we don't do that anymore. My poor husband works a lot of hours at a very large software giant here in the Pacific Northwest. And the last thing I want to ask him to do for me when he actually has some downtime on the weekends is paint machines. So we have one purple machine due out, but we are kind of retired from painting at this point. 1955, Jackie wants to know if there's anything special about 1955. And there actually is something a little special about 1955. 1954-55 machines, and then through the end of their production run, had a different type of decal on the outer edge. They changed over from the Celtic scroll to the Egyptian scrolled decals, which are a little bit more open. So if you are at an antique store and you see a machine that has the linear faceplate on the front and no chrome hand wheel, but those more open style Egyptian scroll decals, you know you have a 55, 54, 55 or later. These are really good questions. Good God. Good job, you guys. Good job. So you can see I have my dress on again because I'm trying to go through all of my dresses in my closet before I have to put them up because the rain comes in. I bought this one for an Easter a few years ago when we still lived in Arizona. And I have to admit it was a little tight when I first bought it and not so much anymore. Thank you, my pandemic workout plan. Who does the painting now that you know of? Okay, so the only people that I know of right now, and I don't know of them personally, I just want to say that, like I can't like give them I've seen their work and they're fabulous. There is a company on Facebook called Featherweights of Northern Michigan, I believe. They put out some incredible pictures, like really pretty, like one-off machines. There is also a company in California called Roxanne's that has they employ artists to do like really high-end like airbrush painting, like the ladies, like I've seen one, it was like in homage to a World War II vet. And it, you know how they used to paint those ladies on the front of their warships during World War II? It looked like that. There was like a pinup lady on the decking. It was incredible. And I've seen like an American one, like a flag with an eagle flying through it. Those are Roxanne's. Understand you will pay a pretty penny for those types of, I mean, it's a work of art. And then you don't really want to use it because what if you like chip it or something? Oh, yikes. There was a company a gentleman, his name is escaping me right now, that was down in the South, I want to say Tennessee. He was a former car painter and he started doing these machines. You just have to be kind of careful because if you go to just a car painter to get a fancy paint job and then they don't really know how to work on the motors or anything, you might get yourself a lemon of a machine that has a really pretty paint job. So it's good to find, like I think that Northern Michigan, Featherweights of Northern Michigan, they do the motor work also. So I believe you'd be pretty safe with them. Just be really careful. And especially if it's a family heirloom machine, like not like just one you picked up on Craigslist or whatever, then you just have to be really careful who you use, because I would hate to have like an heirloom, like a family heirloom piece ruined by someone who didn't know what they were doing. It's actually, so when my husband and I did paint, we wouldn't paint other people's machines for that very reason, because if we screwed up a paint job, which we did not do in however many years that we were painting, we only screwed up our machine. We didn't screw up, you know, someone's grandmother's machine. So you have to be really careful. Things happen. It can happen. So let's see. Sandra said she has a 1949 221. That is nice. Raining here, but losing signal. Stay healthy, everyone. Thanks for joining us, Melanie. We'll talk to you soon, sweetheart. Be careful. Be safe. Oops, you see that? I almost did the wrong piece. Okay. I am doing this scant 1/4 inch thing, so that way my piece comes out the right size. Okay. Okay, block done. Let's see what we got here. There's our bell rock. Sedona. Okay, I'm going to press this out and then measure just to make sure I came out the right size. Ooh. Measure my piece really quick, and then we'll start talking about okay. All right. Cool. So let's talk about the quilt plan real quick. I have my whiteboard today because I wanted to go over some the quilt plan for this, which is to use both. We're going to mix techniques, so we're going to use both straight line quilting. Hang on one sec. This isn't quite right. Okay. We're going to use both straight line quilting and free motion quilting in this block. I have, in fact, I think what we're going to do is I'm not going to quilt it on camera because I have the quilt plan. I basically have you guys weaving up and down the strips, but leaving the background open. Let me just show Facebook. So I have the background open because we're going to stipple in here. And then I have us weaving up and down the long pillars to lock down the bottom side of it. What I think I'd like to do with the rest of my time, if it's all right with you guys, instead of doing the actual straight quilting, is I want to show you guys the stippling lesson that I teach in my regular machine quilting classes, because I want I want to give you guys the lesson, and I think it's going to take a few minutes. Peggy says, is anyone else having trouble printing the pattern? Doesn't print the entire picture. So Peggy, I had another person come let me know about that, and I think what's happening is when you go to open it in Dropbox, you actually have to download it to your computer, and then when you open it again, it'll show the whole page, because you don't want to just do a screen print. You want to print the whole page, but you have to download it to your computer first and then reopen it, and not try and open it in Dropbox. So try that and see if that helps. Peggy, if it still doesn't work, then you email me, sweetheart, and I will send you the patterns directly through email, so you don't have to fuss around with the website. So Sandra said, sorry about that, I cut out 8. Oh, it's supposed to be 8.5. So, that's okay. As long as they're all the same size at the end, because otherwise it won't quite go back together. Oh, Peggy says, no big deal. I'll just write it out. Okay, cool. Let's do the stippling lesson. So this is a lesson I teach in my regular quilting classes that I down in when I'm in Arizona, and also here in Seattle. And we're talking about quilting wide open spaces. In the class that I teach, you're actually kind of stippling around something. But let's just talk about the basic movement of stippling first. Stippling is what, just so you don't know what stippling is, let me back up several steps. Stippling is a meandering line that is curvy by nature and doesn't intersect. That is the definition of stippling. There are several different scales and scopes of stippling. So what that means is you can see a micro stippling, which is really tight, and it really does recess the background of whatever it is you're trying to highlight. You can do more of a regular size stippling, which would be a fill in a large open area, or you could do what's called a meander, which is basically, again, the same movement, just the largest scale, which would be more like an all over type wash on a bigger quilt. We are going to talk about the mechanics and the movement of it, and then we're going to let the pattern, which is our Bell Rock Sedona block, dictate our scope and scale. So let me tell you what that means. So even as a long arm quilter, a professional long arm quilter, I would always have trouble if I was doing a stippling fill in a large open area, keeping my stippling consistent from like when I enter into the area as opposed to when I exit the area. And so what I did was I kind of developed a little cheat to kind of help keep my scale consistent from beginning to end, no matter how big my space was. So what I did was I kind of turned a pattern that was kind of abstract, if you will, into something a little bit more linear that I could weave in, and then I could keep my scale and my scope the same. So this is another one of those talks about boundary lines. Boundary lines in quilting are used to designate different areas, but not necessarily quilt those hard lines. So we're going to use boundary lines in order to weave in channels in order to keep our stippling consistent. So what I do for stippling, it kind of looks a little bit like a puzzle piece, if you will, or yeah, like a puzzle piece. I've had people liken it to that. My specific movement for stippling is heart, inverted heart, heart, inverted heart, heart, inverted heart. That is my movement. And you see how it kind of moves in a channel on a very linear basis? Okay. We are going to convert this into a continuous line all over pattern in this big open area. So I'm going to come into the space like this and weave heart, inverted heart, heart, inverted heart, heart, inverted heart, wiggle line over to the next channel. Notice I am filling the whole channel. I am not skinning down the middle of the line like that. That doesn't work. It looks like channels and not like an all over pattern. Because eventually when your boundary channel lines go away, then it looks like a consistent stippling in a wide open space. So we're going to use that same concept in our stippling of our open area above Bell Rock for this project. And what that means is if you are more comfortable drawing out the stippling on your project with like a fabric marking tool that goes away, either an air soluble one or a water soluble one, or the friction pens that I use that go away with the heat of an iron, and then you're just following your drawn line, there's no shame in that whatsoever. Eventually, though, you want to gain enough confidence to be able to just take off across the quilt on your own within your boundary lines and do it without having to mark it all out. So that is what we did for this block. And I'm just going to show Facebook. You can see I used the actual lines from the seams as my channel, so I didn't even mark anything out, and then I weaved in those channels. You can see it up close here on the camera on Facebook. So that is our block for the month, or for the week, I mean, and you can see that I just weaved up and down my channels here and then stippled in the outer area. So that is our Sedona, Arizona block. So Becky wants to know, so we don't do any stitch in the ditch fabric in the background if we stipple. Correct. That is correct, Becky. So you're just going to do your stitching in the ditch here in the linear channels, cutting across on the top of our bell rock, and then just the stippling in the open outer areas. Yes. All right. That is the quilt plan, ladies. Next week, like I said, is Globe, Arizona. Globe, Arizona's block is, Globe, Arizona is known as the diamond capital of Arizona. I didn't know this before we moved there, but they're really known, the state is really known for their copper and mineral deposits. It's a huge state export. And so Globe, Arizona, which is on the shores of Lake Roosevelt, at the Roosevelt Dam, right around Superior, Arizona, is one of, we've traveled through there several times. In fact, one time we were there when we got hit with a monsoon, and it was crazy because it was like 110 and the temperature dropped to like 70 in just about 20 minutes as the monsoon dust, the dust storm rolled in. And then we got hit with the rain and the flash flooding, and we were on our way home. At that time, we were living in Apache Junction. So Globe is forever ingrained in my brain for that reason, because we were there during a storm. So, all right. I think that's everything I have for you guys tonight. Again, please join me again on Friday for my remote sip and sew on Bainbridge Island. Beautiful part of the Pacific Northwest. I'm really looking forward to it, actually. And then again on Monday for Ask the Doctor. If you have any questions for me regarding the featherweights, not only maintenance, cleaning, technical, anything about the featherweights, feel free to email me at info@featherweightdoctor.com. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. This Quilt As You Go has been really fun for me to kind of revisit, if only mentally at this point, all of these wonderful places that we visited while we lived there. And it's fun to have all of my friends along for the journey. So I hope everybody has a great Wednesday night, and I will talk to you